Oh!
It's r2youtube.com. That's R, number 2, youtube.com, and tell them Velvet sent you. Oh, yeah.
Let's go it down! This is Rasslin Rage! Do it now! This is Rasslin Rage! Scream it out loud! This is Rasslin Rage! Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade!
Hey everybody, it's Cody here from Rasslin Rage, and I am joined by Kid Bullet. But before we get to some questions with him, make sure you smash the thumbs up. Also, make sure to subscribe. So, Kid Bullet, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, man. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So I've seen you up here in Michigan with Blue Water Championship Wrestling. I've also seen online that you're wrestling in Future Great Wrestling and in other promotions throughout. Let's start it off with, how did you get involved in professional wrestling? Like, were you a fan? How did you get started off?
Well, yeah, man. Like growing up, of course, always a fan, and I don't know. It just kind of sparked out of nowhere. It was just kind of an interest. I started working with a friend who was a real big wrestling fan, and he started showing me different stuff besides just like WWE, like New Japan and Ring of Honor, CZW, just like these other great promotions that really, like growing up, I never really got out of the realm of like WCW, WWE, or WWF
Right.
growing up. And he really re-sparked my interest in it, and I don't know, I just got this wild idea, like, hey, well, that'd be interesting. I thought, fun, cool, like, let's see how I go about doing this. So my dad, he's always had ties and been friends with Tom Williams at War Wrestling, and
Okay.
here in Lima, or here in Ohio in Lima, and I expressed my interest to him, and my dad shot Tom a message, and he referred to me Cody Hawk.
Oh, well,
And at the
there's a
time,
name.
yeah, and I'll be real honest, man. Like at the time, like I heard the name Cody Hawk, and I was like, that sounds familiar. Like I went to pro wrestling a lot as a kid, but I wasn't familiar so much with Cody himself.
Right.
And so I did the research and everything, and so I shot him a message, and he tells me that he has these sessions that he does down. And I was insanely fortunate to find somebody with such great credentials just 2 hours down the highway from me. And so yeah, I picked up training with him, and I did like a 6 month course with him, and then after that I just kept kind of like just going back for more and more, and just kept learning from him, just absorbing just all the knowledge that he had, and I've done a number of seminars and trained with other people since, but he's given me just a good concrete foundation, all my fundamentals, the
For
real
sure.
important stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
I,
mean,
I,
he won the Trainer Award from CAC this year. I mean, and all
exactly.
that speaks for itself. And I mean, there's
Absolutely.
plenty of people that, a long list of people that he's trained. So yeah, definitely a superb choice. So tell me a little bit what it's like. I've had Sean on the show. I've had Cody on the show. I've had Shay has been on the show. And so all people that have trained for Cody Hawk, give me, without giving me a bunch of secrets or anything like people shouldn't know, but what's a day of training with Cody Hawk like?
Um, well, the great thing with Cody is like a lot of the times, man, you don't know going into it. Like some days training would be just real, relaxed and casual, and we would, almost, play sort of like games, but of course it's always in the name of, like learning more, and but we'd make it fun. And then
For sure.
some days we'd go in and it'd be very structured drills, spot drills, whatever it may be, cardio. He'd really run us into the ground, which was um it was refreshing, because he kind of just like, it almost seemed like he walked in with a few ideas in his head, and then he'd just roll a dice, and then we just kind of do it that day. So
Right.
it was made it very interesting and fun, easy to learn too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how long have so you completed your training? You did your the 6 months you said, and you complete your training. Once you start wrestling, you're actually competing on independence or what have you. How long have you been doing that now?
Um, let's see, it was 2 years just this past May, so
Okay,
uh,
so two
two
years,
years and almost 2 months.
right? So you're still, you're not new, but you're still working your way in. Uh, what are some things that you have noticed, that you didn't know before that you know now? Not, granted, with what you can tell us, but what was there something that you thought was going to be a lot easier that really wasn't?
Oh man, the whole thing, man. Walking into that, I was kind of blissfully ignorant. I didn't. I kind of had this idea in my head, but no, man, like I had no clue what I was walking into. Just taking my first bumps in training, and then just like, yeah, just hopping out on the road, and just going places and stuff. You learn a lot though. It's like it's good exposure. You fall a lot along the way, but you learn a lot of lessons.
Right.
You do. And yeah, like I've I've taken a walk around the block, but I still have so much to learn. Um, that just keeps me excited, keeps me going for sure.
Right. So, a lot of guys that I've talked to, a lot of them like, so if they're from Michigan or if they're from Ohio and they don't have a lot of years in, they're still kind of confined to their general area. So like, you're down in Ohio, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I know you've been up in Michigan. I've seen you up in Michigan. So how what are you doing to get you out there further that some of these other guys may not be doing?
A big thing that I always tell to guys, and that I've learned from people is you just sometimes you just have to go. If the ring calls, you answer.
There you
And
go.
that, even if you don't have a spot there, and it helps, to know people and to have references. And, obviously, like having a name behind me, like Cody, that opens certain doors for me and stuff like that. And a lot of that comes down to just like a lot of these doors are that are in front of me are in front of other people too, or
Right.
more so. And sometimes they just don't choose to walk through them, and I have, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, sometimes you just have to go and see where it gets you. Sometimes it doesn't get you anywhere, and eventually, maybe it will. And that's just
Right.
kind of the game. It's just kind of the gamble you have to play.
Right. So you're down there with Future Great Wrestling, and a lot of people. There's been enough people that have worked or been on the show from Future Great to understand the story behind Future Great Wrestling and how it almost didn't happen. And here it is. And to my understanding, what I see on Facebook and on social media and all over the place, it's doing really well. And it's running every week. They're running Friday night shows every week, and it's doing really well. What's it like for you to be a part of something at the ground level, like just started out and working all the way in, and because and you're working with Cody Hawk. So what's that like for you?
Well, I mean, obviously, just like right up front, it's a complete honor. I feel very lucky and special. Especially like I said, just being so like in the vicinity of Cody, and just yeah, and just it does all feel very fortunate and lucky, because there was a lot of hoops to jump through, and a lot of things that had to go just perfectly right, and they did. And that just feels amazing. And to be a future great wrestling original, and to think about with the longevity that, in my opinion, maybe I'm biased, but it's just so blatantly obvious that this company is going to be around. We're not
Right.
going anywhere anytime soon. To think 10, 15 years down the road, and all the people that will have, all the shows, for me to be on one of the very first FBW original. Yeah, man, it will always be one of my greatest milestones in my wrestling career. I look at it with just it feels great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So, they're running every Friday. They got every Friday night, and you're on every Friday. That's pretty sweet. You're working, you're in a match pretty much every Friday with those guys. Is that
Yeah.
how do you like that work? You're every Friday. You're guaranteed to get some work in, right?
Oh yeah, and I mean, I never, show up expecting anything.
Right. Oh, for
It's
sure.
very much, I earned my spot, and if I, haven't earned that spot, then that's on me. But um, but yeah, man, it almost like we bring in a lot of people, and a lot of new faces and stuff to keep things fresh. But we have our core group of guys, and it's what's great about that is after a while, you guys just start humming along,
Yeah.
and before you know it, we're just a well-oiled machine, and we're just banging these shows out, and it's knocking them out night after week after week, and yeah, it feels good, and then it just keeps you going. Like when we can look back to or think back to some of our first shows to where we are now, just how we everything flows better, and everybody's just more tight on par with how we should be. It just keeps feeding the fire, and it just helps the flames keep rising,
Right.
and
So, we're up here in Michigan. Well, I'm up in here in Michigan. You're down there in Ohio, and those people that up here might not be familiar with Future Great Wrestling, and they don't know that Future Great Wrestling stems from it's part of a comic book store's Future Great Comics. Am I right?
yes, yes, Brian Levick.
Okay,
Brian
so
Levick started.
okay, so you got Future Great Comics and you got Future Great Wrestling, which comic books, wrestling. Hey, what can you ask for? Great. Let me ask you: are you a comic book reader, or do you have comic books? Do you frequent Future Great Comics?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't get to frequent Future Great Comics, unfortunately, and I won't lie, I have been slacking on my comic book reading, but yeah, man, absolutely. I used to I would stop in and you know, check out comics at Brian's shop when I could when he first started associating with like the Cody and like our group, and
Right.
yeah, man, I got a nice stack of comics in my closet over there that I read. I got a Batman tattoo, and I think
Sweet.
yeah,
Nice.
man. Like I said, I'm slacking, but eventually I'll find the time, and I'm just gonna really
Right. So, Kid Bullet, we're gonna probably see you. I know we're gonna see you back up here in Michigan again, or in Port Huron for sure. I got you were commenting earlier about these some of the stuff on the wall back here. Do you collect anything wrestling? I mean, I know obviously you're a wrestler and you get in the ring, but do you collect anything? You got anything as far as wrestling goes?
I wear an NWO hat a lot, and I do collect wrestling shirts. I try to as often as I can. I try to buy the boys stuff, and
Yeah.
I got a few, yeah, like old school wrestling shirts. But as far as I wish I would have kept on to the action figures or the wrestling action figures that I had when I was a kid.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah,
You and I
if
both.
I could have those. But
Yeah.
no, I would like to eventually.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, before we get out of here, why don't you throw out your social media and any, ways for promoters to contact you for booking info, stuff like that. Throw that stuff out there. And for those of you that are watching, I'm going to throw that in the description down below so that you can click on that and get a hold of him if you need to and follow him on his Facebook and all that good stuff. So go ahead, throw that out there.
So yeah, man, it's real simple. You can just you can find me on Facebook. Just type in Kid Bullet. You send me a friend request. I add just about everybody that sends me one. You can find me on Snapchat, Kid-Bullet96, and then you can also find me on Instagram, which is wolf.bullet.96. And those are the three social medias that I pertain to. I don't get too much into the Twitterverse.
Right.
But you can
That's
find me
crazy.
on three of those.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. So promoters, do they get a hold of you through Facebook or
Yeah,
through?
absolutely. That's
Okay.
yeah, that's absolutely the best way. I always got my messenger on. That's usually the best way I can conduct business with people, and yeah, they can reach me through my messenger, and that's the best way.
All right, for sure. All right, well, listen, bud, I'd like to say thanks so much for coming on the show. When you come back
Oh
up,
yeah,
maybe we could sit down with you in the ring one of these days and just, talk some wrestling and,
absolutely.
do it again. All right. Well, hey, man, thanks so much. And you have
All right, yeah,
yourself
thanks for
a
having me, man.
wonderful day, man.
You too, sir. Thank you.
You're
We are
welcome.
the Death Threat Army. Vehicle City villain Aaron Orion.
Black Diamond Jack Price.
The Wild Child Jody Threat.
And weaponized Alex Weir. And you're watching Rasslin Rage live on Friday nights at 8 o'clock on YouTube.